Hey everybody. Oh wait, that's not what I'm supposed to say. What's up, gamers? Wow, it's been a long time since we've done this, so I don't even remember what's supposed to follow this, but we'll do it anyway. Welcome to episode 29, 6 months later after episode 28 of the Battle Mallet podcast. This is Cryosleep. For everyone who has forgotten, present company included, Battle Mallet podcast delves into the minds of four busy gamers, their annual journey to nothing because Nova got canceled again, playing games that they love or not playing games that they love, and balancing life with those games along with a global pandemic. I am Jared Johnson, and I am here with Trace Hyde.
What's up, everybody? We still do this thing?
Jason Murray.
I think there was a face hugger in my Cryosleep container. Not sure.
Yeah. And Danny Clemens.
What is time? Time is a construct. It doesn't matter. We're all just aging, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Especially you.
Time is a
Just
flat
tell
circle.
me about it.
Yeah.
Time is a flat circle.
I don't have a Candy Crush. That's
There you
the most
go.
important part of
Oh,
that.
man.
I could take this Gatorade bottle and just
Crush it while it's full. It'll be perfect. Yeah, so we're a podcast, allegedly, and it's been a while since we've recorded, but we finally managed to lock some time down together, so we are going to do our best to kind of catch up with where everybody's been, and at the end we'll talk about, what everyone can expect for the show going forward. So we'll just kick it off there. I'll kick it over to Jason.
Yeah, so, on tonight's, it's really just a catch-up episode for our listeners. Like, we'll kind of go through, like, what we've been up to, how we kind of have been navigating gaming, COVID, life, some things that we really enjoyed over this last year or 6 months, and then what do we look forward to in the near future. So that's kind of going to be the format tonight, and it's just a general conversation and looking to have some fun, getting to see my three pals and talk some games with them. So with that, Trace, what have you been up to?
Not all that much gaming related. Gaming related, yes, not tabletop gaming related.
Cheater.
It's okay. Your secret's safe with me, Trace.
It's fine. I will admit to the world that I booted back up World of Warcraft, and I have no regrets.
Not even one letter?
Nope. Mm-mm. No, I've been mostly what I've been doing is just painting. I paint when I get the hankering to, and I try not to let it get me down that I'm not painting for an event, because that's typically what drove me in the past. So with, events being canceled, like, some of the most fun that I have is, planning out a project to try and get done by the deadline. That's just kind of what's been fun for me. But still have been getting hobby stuff for various things like Christmas and just gifts and stuff like that. So over Christmas time, I got a whole brand new set of paints to play with, which is the Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl line, if I can actually say it right. Just really good paints, maybe some of my favorite ones that I've ever used. They dry really matte, and so painted up a bunch of stuff with those. I've painted up Kagger's Ravagers. I still have to put some finishing touches on the Worm Spat, which are a lot of fun. I've been painting up my starter Crusade Force for Death Guard to hopefully get some games in with these fine fellas at some point soon with some Crusade games. I've painted up Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've painted Magneto and some other stuff during the COVID break. So yeah, really just mostly that. Managed to get some games in briefly Probably some of the best things we've done is tried to get together and play some outdoor underworlds here and there. So got together on my back porch. That was a lot of fun, and played some underworlds with Jared and Jason. That was right before Dire Chasm came out, or right after Dire Chasm came out.
The weekend of Dire Chasm.
Yep. We got together and did that. So it was still cold when we did that.
And it almost rained on us.
But we still managed to do that. And then, but yeah, so that's what I've been up to over the past several months, is mostly painting and playing WoW.
And playing WoW. Well, awesome. So, Jared, Danny, does that translate to you guys too? Like, I mean, from a painting hobby standpoint, has the lack of events been, kind of a hindrance to painting? I mean, because we all know I don't paint. I just get it.
You pay.
So
you do the first 3 letters of paint.
Yeah, but
That's right.
Yeah. Boom.
Jason's had the most hobby progress of all of us because he pays somebody
true,
else to
yeah.
do it.
That's right. I don't stop. Keeps going.
That's
But
right.
Danny, have you found it difficult to stay motivated?
Yes and no. Like right when everything shut down, I was kind of scrambling to finish up my Rippa's Snarl Fangs for the Nova Open Charitable Foundation. Like that was kind of my main stressor in my life before the world shut down, which is crazy to think about. And I was kind of at that point, my thought was like, all right, I'll finish up Rippa's. And then I wanted to get 10 Crisis Protocol figures painted so that I didn't have any strategy as to like what kind of team I was going to bring to Nova, but I was like, I just wanted to have 10 painted miniatures so I could have a painted team. And then I was going to try to just slam out some Lord of the Rings figures because they're small and I could just kind of crank those out. And that was kind of, I think at this point, kind of like 4 months to kind of do that. And it felt doable. And I say all that because I don't think that I would have particularly enjoyed the pressure of that. And so having this year to kind of clear out some things from my backlog of things that I wanted to get done that I could now just kind of, I didn't have to worry about getting them done by the 1st of September. I could just kind of do them as I please, has been kind of nice. But at the same time, like I haven't touched a Lord of the Rings miniature because I only play Lord of the Rings at Nova. Like none of you guys play it. We don't get together to play it, so I don't have like a motivation other than to look at it. But at the same time, I've definitely gotten in touch with the soul of my gaming, because like I started this hobby as a collector. Like I collected miniatures and painted them for over a decade before I ever even played my first game of 40K. And that was how I started this. And so like I bought a cabinet. I have a nice glass cabinet now, like you do, Jason, with my miniatures in it. And I've got them all organized in their little squads and everything. And like looking at that makes me happy. My dog agrees, if you can hear her in the background.
That's just the battle mallet hitting every figure.
Yes,
in the
exactly
face.
what it is.
That's the is this the it's actually, come on, it is actually a Wakanda like
Nice.
frisbee
Oh, that's
that
awesome.
she's squeaking. That's my dog Shuri. She is having a grand old time. But like in a weird way, I've kind of have enjoyed the lack of gaming pressure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I miss it because when we sat down to do this podcast, I kind of wrote down like, oh, what have I done this year? And it was like, all right, well, like I finished the Rippas. I bought Indomitus, assembled half of it, and then never touched it. Like I bought the Space Marines Codex. I barely read it because I like flipped through it. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of the same stuff that's been in the last 4 Space Marine Codexes for fluff. So don't need to read that again. I bought, I think Jason's the only one who knows about this. I bought the Blood Angels Codex because I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I love the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines are my favorite, but like they play they expect you to be geniuses, like the way they play, because that's what they are. And I just want to run at something and smash it. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just take my hand at Blood Angels because I can just run at things and smash them. That sounds like the one trick pony that I would enjoy. And so I bought the Blood Angels Codex and read that from front to back, painted the legs of a dreadnought,
Nice.
and that did nothing else.
Nice.
I made a crusade list for it. I'm still waiting on the ATV to get here. My chaplain on bike just arrived on Thursday. I ordered that on November 1st.
Wow.
I painted a lot, not a lot, but a lot for me, of Crisis Protocol figures. I painted Black Panther, Hulk, Rocket, Groot, Drax, and especially the smoke on Star-Lord.
That smoke. That smoke is great.
That's a running inside joke, if you haven't been on the Discord. That is basically, I painted everything but the smoke, and every time I post a picture of it, Jason's like, man, the smoke looks so good. So good. And it doesn't bother me at all, I swear.
Yeah.
And then I bought and assembled Thanos in the Black Order, and I just started my charity piece for this year. And that's it. Like, I haven't done a lot, but it has felt good in a weird way to not have the pressure. But at the same time, not having the pressure has definitely slowed me down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure, Danny. It's not been bad to not have the pressure, but there's not been something for me to work for.
Yeah. I absolutely would have done probably like 300% more if I had Nova last year. But at the same time, I don't know. That might not be true, because after Nova last year, I definitely took like 3 to 4 months of just not touching anything, because I was kind of burned out by that point. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed Nova, but the build up to it, I was pretty ragged in trying to get things painted, and I was like, I just need to not look at my paints for a minute. Yeah. That hasn't happened this year because I've been able to kind of do it on my own pace. So maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm being harsh on myself, but it feels like I've been less productive.
Nice. Yeah. Jared, what have you been up to? I mean, painting, right? Ton of it.
I think since the last time we recorded, I think I have primed some miniatures and did some test flesh tones for Yanari, and that's it. So, hobby-wise, I sold all of my mini marines and bought a bunch of Dark Eldar and Eldar with the thought of running Yanari, because I read a Yanari book, and that's a theme that's been going on for me, is reading. But then it turns out that they don't play on the tabletop the way that I want them to. So, but it doesn't matter because we're not playing anyway. So it's fine. But I've actually been doing a lot of reading of Games Workshop literature for me, like, because I was not a huge reader of the side fiction before, but when we went to Nova, I think we got the Inferno Volume 1, which is like an anthology of short stories set across like the entirety of Games Workshop universe, other than Lord of the Rings, because I imagine that they probably are not allowed to write about Middle Earth in any shape or form.
I've heard it's a little strict about that.
Yeah,
just a little.
But since then, I have purchased the rest of the Inferno anthologies, and I'm on book 3. And it's been interesting to read. Like, I read a Necromunda short story that was really good, and I would probably have never decided to read a Necromunda short story because I'm not invested in that universe at all. But I've built some miniatures, so I've built some Marvel Crisis Protocol. I think I have probably done the best on self-control when it comes to purchasing Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures, because I believe that I own the starter, and then the X-Men and Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Steel.
I don't own a single mutant.
Nice.
Not one.
We're inverses.
Hey, I curbed it. I stopped after the mutants. I have not bought anything since the mutants, although Cable is.
I was saying, nothing's come out.
I will be purchasing Cable for sure.
Yeah,
Jason's like, I haven't drank since yesterday.
Right. But I don't think I realized how important gathering to play was to my painting. Like, I am not a collector at all when it comes to that. Like, I purchase and paint things to be game pieces. I think what happens is that I get excited about a miniature and like what it means for my army or what it means on the tabletop, and that makes me, push to paint it better to like a collector level, I would say. And I get excited about pushing things to that level, but it has never been more obvious to me how important gathering to play with my miniatures is to my painting motivation than the past 6 months. And I don't really like it. Like, I enjoy when I'm doing it, the creative outlet that is painting. Like, I enjoy kind of the project aspect of it. Here's a, it's not a blank canvas, but a metaphorical blank canvas of nothing that I then create into something in a fairly short amount of time, really. And I really know that mentally I enjoy that, but I just have no motivation in the past 6 months to do any of that. And I don't like it.
I mean, that's a great insight, and I think that we've all seen that. We've all kind of fallen into a hobby primary, like Danny always was drawn to kind of the historic setting painting, right?
Yeah.
Trace has always been a painter. He sees a shiny thing, he paints. Like, that's what he does, right? But I think, for you, Jared, you enjoy the hobby, but it is gaming, and I am 100% the game, right? And a collector. Like, I have a Switch that I have to own it all, and I needed to own it now just in case. And, during COVID for me, like, that Switch was paused. It really was in the beginning of the year. I think we've seen that through the shows in the beginning of the year and the beginning of COVID. I didn't buy a lot. And then Indominus hit, and I went freaking nuts and bought all the Necrons and all the Space Marine stuff. But then it shut down, right? Like, I was like, why do I need all this stuff if we're not playing? So yet again, I am not purchasing other than Warhammer Underworlds because it continues to be my plastic crack of choice. I love that game. I play it online often. Although I have not even filed the new cards away from the Ravagers, so maybe I'm starting to break a little bit, but
you're not.
I'm not. I mean, I definitely played a lot of games with with Slanesh here, so it's still my favorite game of choice. And I mean, other than that, it's just been, for the last 6 months, it's been trying to find that balance as we've all had different life events kind of come up, outside, whether it's been work for a lot of us, things happening there, good things for all of us in work, whether that's been family changes, dealing with COVID restructures. As Trace mentioned, like, we have gotten together to play a few times, but nowhere near what anything was, even at the tail end, or I should say the beginning of COVID, right? So the hobby has definitely changed for me. Like, I want to get back to painting, but like you guys, I need that motivation. Like, it sucks for me even when we're not in COVID. I love commission painting, but every once in a while I will break out a brush and paint, and there's no need to now at all. So that'll kind of transition me like into the next question. Is like, how have you navigated COVID and gaming? And I'll start kind of kick this one off, and it's been cautious. Like, for me, if I was in one word, it would be cautious. With my job, I see a lot of people every single day. So to bring that exposure to my friends has been a real struggle. So there hasn't been a lot of gaming in COVID other than the virtual kind. But the gaming that I've gotten during COVID has been phenomenal. It has come at the perfect times where maybe mentally I've been the most stressed or the most down on, this thing that feels like it's never going to end. And to roll some dice and kind of have that experience, it's been fantastic, and it's kept my love of the game and really for the love of my friends. So that's where I stood with navigating COVID and gaming. Danny, we'll go back to you because I'd love to hear how you've been gaming during COVID.
Yeah, that's not a cynical question at all, is it? That's just a nice, tame, honest, open question. Glad to be here, Jason Berry.
Thanks.
No, so I've always maintained my World of Warcraft addiction, but that has been my main source of quote unquote gaming, because I know that doesn't qualify under the question that you said, but that's what I've spent a lot of my time scratching that itch, like that time of like strategic thinking and working as a team and all that stuff has been with my guild. But in the context of actual tabletop and board gaming, I live farther away from you guys and I don't play Underworlds, and so I haven't gotten together with anybody to play a tabletop game. That is not something I have done since I think over a year. Like I don't think I played anything in March of last year, and so like I have not, other than like a few games of Crisis Protocol with my wife, which are just kind of laid back, and that was fun, and we did that throughout the beginning of the pandemic, but kind of wheedled off a little bit as the novelty of the pandemic wore off, right? Like the beginning of the pandemic, there was a novelty value to it. Like that sounds cheap and awful to say, but I don't mean that to discount the tragedy of it. But for those of us that were lucky enough to not be physically impacted by it, like people were, like learning to make beer and like doing all these like little crafts, like, because they're like, well, I have all this time and I'm stuck in my house. And so there was a certain amount of time where like we were doing that and it was fun. But then the reality of the pandemic and like the grind of it set in, and it became something like Sarah and I haven't played a lot of board games in general, because it's just the two of us. And like I have kind of a bubble of friends here in Durham that are not gamers by any stretch of the imagination. And they joke because I'm always like, hey, let's play this board game that I bought. And they're totally right. They're like, they always enjoy it, but they're like, the reason why you do this is because you get to pretend you're a teacher again for 3 hours and you get to teach us something new. And I was like, you know what? Like, that's absolutely fair. So like I've had a couple of board game nights with some friends and played, like you said, played Crisis Protocol, played Marvel Legendary, which is a game that's very important between my wife and I. So that game will never go out of style. We played gotten into like a lot of small kind of like small box games, like Age of War, which is like it's a dice matching game kind of thing. A game called Infinity Gauntlet, which is based off of Love Letter, which is a really simple card game. It's like each card has a value and an action, and you choose to play either the value or the action. And the value is how you win like head to head, and actions are how you initiate head to heads. And so like the head to heads are always on like your highest values. So like you have to make this choice. Like, am I going to hold on to it and hope that somebody's going to call me out, or do I call them out and then hope that they don't have something good? And so we played a lot of that. Party game called Anomia, which is just, I cannot wait to play it with you guys because it's a laugh a minute. Like it is the funniest game ever. It's just cards, and the cards will have like a symbol, like a square, a circle, a triangle, an X, and it'll say like it'll be like a circle that says laser noise, and then a square that says like terrible job, and then this next card is an X, and it'll be like worst president. And if you match cards, like if the two X's are in an immediate duel, and the first person to come up with something for the other person's cards, like if Trace sees mine that says laser, Trace goes pew pew before I can think of the worst president, Trace steals my card. But if underneath that card is a square, it starts another head to head with another person that has the square. And so like everybody has to be watching everything, and your brain will sit there and be like, pew pew, man, just say pew pew. And your tongue is going like, ah. Also nonsense, you know?
That's awesome.
So it's super fun, super quick, super easy. We played some Men at Work, which you guys have played, which is also super fun. But like the kind of weird, strange ray of light of this whole thing is, as I just said, like I used to be a teacher, and a lot of my students now are out of college. They're in their mid-20s, like they're full-blown adults. And so every now and then one of them will friend me on social media, and I was like, oh, that I like that kid. That kid seemed like he was all right. How's he doing? And I'll accept it. Some of them don't care, don't want to know. Like, you stay over there.
Yeah.
And there's this one student that I always really liked him, and we became Instagram friends like a couple of years ago. And within the last year, he started posting on his Instagram stories that he's gotten really into Dungeons and Dragons, which, you know, kid from the Bronx getting into Dungeons and Dragons, all for it. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But what he has gotten especially into was the miniatures and painting them.
Nice.
And so, like, he had no idea. Like, he's just posting it off into the ether. No idea that his former teacher is a complete and total. Well, maybe he had an idea that I was a nerd, but he didn't know that I was like a miniature painting nerd.
That kind of nerd.
Yeah. And so, like, I started commenting, and I was like, hey, like, I'm not trying to blow up your scene, but like, I can tell you're new at this. I've been doing this forever. And so if you ever want to talk about it, like, if you ever have any questions or ideas, like, hit me up. I'd be happy to chat with you. And so we've kind of been talking more and more, like not a ton, you know, like every couple of weeks, like he'll post something or like he'll ask me a question, and we chit chat about how to paint fire. Because like, that's a very tricky one, my friend. Like it's backwards. It's completely backwards. And like, he sent me some pictures. I was like, this looks good. I would try that. And it's been a really fun kind of thing to be like, this next generation of nerds that I can help shepherd into the future has been
That's awesome.
Yeah, a real ray of light in this.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I like it.
Well, other than that, been
Lots of
hanging
board
out.
games.
Yeah, lots of games. No tabletop. Like, honestly, I think you could there's probably 10 or fewer games of Crisis Protocol, and then board games. No 40K, no Lord of the Rings. I actually had this question while you were chatting earlier. Are my rats even legal anymore in?
Yes.
Okay. And they're actually pretty
100% legal.
So I know that they've started to answer that question of like what's going to happen as we keep introducing things, and I kind of skimmed that article in the summer, and I was like, I don't even know if my stuff would even be playable.
You just rotate out the seasonal cards.
That's like the big box.
Yeah, like the universals rotate out, but the warbands live on forever.
Oh, that's cool. That's smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
Yeah,
Jared,
so your faction cards stay the same. So,
Jared, what's been your biggest thing on navigating this time, navigating this time, like with COVID and getting some games in?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the games that we played, you know, I mean, you mentioned it, safety, right? So we've been able to gather together a handful of times, but it's been outdoors, masked up, or in a garage with the garage door open, masked up. So it was going. I mean, it was pretty frequent, maybe like once every 3 weeks there for a little while. But, and I don't know if this had come up in the podcast. But
probably not.
At some point during the lockdown, my wife got pregnant.
I read that that was happening less and less, Jared.
Well,
like in the country, in the world, you're a big bucking the trend, iconoclast.
Yeah. Well, that's me.
Bucking.
I
said that word on purpose.
Yeah, I'm now a statistic, right? So we'll have in 13 years, we'll have a quarantine-ager in our house.
Hey, you're an outlier.
So my daughter was born a month and 2 days ago. So for probably the first couple of months of 2021, we were pretty well locked down because I had a pregnant wife, and then for the couple of weeks leading up to her birth in February, we were very locked down because the baby could come at any time. But I feel like leading up to that, we did pretty well. I did get to sneak out one time in February as kind of probably the last hurrah, because at that point there was no real end in sight. We thought we were just going to be locked down forever. But I played some 40K, played some Underworlds, played some more Cry. Not a whole lot on the online scene, which when we were gathering in person to play Underworlds, I was pretty involved in playing online. But it goes back to, I think being able to play in person is motivating to like every part of the hobby for me, and that includes gaming. So yeah, I mean it's been a lot slimmer than normal. And then I think like Danny, the novelty of the lockdown, it meant Danielle and I were playing board games a little more frequently. Bought an expansion to Splendor, which is a quick little game, and it added some new ways to play that, and we played those, and then bought a game called Tiny Towns and played it wrong, but it was a lot of fun. And then we played it kind of right the second time, and it was still fun. And then we played it completely right, following all the rules, and my wife didn't like it as much anymore.
So you guys should make your own game.
Yeah, right. That's
Game
what we
designers.
should do. Yeah.
They did play a game of their own design.
Yeah. Or just go back.
That's not their own design. That's been designed for.
Yeah, that game has existed for thousands and thousands of years. But like Trace, I got back on the WoW train, and I think it has scratched an itch for me in that regard. But that has dropped off of late because I am now getting non-consecutive hours of sleep because I have a newborn in the house, and so even that has dropped off lately. Yeah. So it's been tough. I have not enjoyed it. One thing that has cropped up is we have a Switch, and my son is now 6, and so is able to kind of play games on the Switch. And so, we would play Mario Kart, and, it was pretty regular as a family. So, like, even my 4-year-old daughter, can steer a Mario Kart. She doesn't win any races, but she can steer the cart.
She rides them rails, huh?
Yeah.
Rides the rails.
Well, and sometimes she forgets to even hit the gas pedal. But she's still moving because that's how they do it in Mario Kart 8 on the Switch. And then, we've been playing the new Super Mario Bros. U. Like, that's a 4-player Mario game. And so for the super easy levels, even my daughter can walk and jump. But the latest one has been Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Hell yeah, I love that game. Just press
so
buttons,
good,
man.
Yeah,
good.
so we picked it up, and I just have to laugh every now and again because it's me playing, like, and I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
Yes.
It's Kyle pointed in the corner, not even doing anything.
Well, it's not that he's not doing anything.
Press X and Y so we can do the ultimate, Kyle. Press it.
That's exactly what I tell James. No. I'm like, I don't care where you are. Just press this 2 buttons together.
No. So my son's favorite thing to do is he loves all of this. He loves the Spider characters. Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Venom. And he loves them because they can swing. They can web swing. You hold down A, your jump button, and they swing. And so you guys aren't, anybody listening isn't going to get the visual of this, but what you have is me trying to fight the bad guy, usually a boss, and my son is over in the corner, and he's just going thwip, 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 thwip around in a circle. And he's like, Dad, they're not even hitting me. I'm just dodging all the attacks. And I'm like, you're right, buddy, but you're also not fighting the bad guy. And when you thwip around the room, it spins the camera around while your dad's trying to fight the bad guys.
I actively encourage James to do that because otherwise he just like faces into the corner and like doesn't do anything, and then he gets killed.
Yeah, but he's actually, so we started a save game, and my son is actually, he will like get on the Switch like during like screen time, like his his screen time, and he gets on the Switch and he's like playing through the game. He's unlocking characters. So like I don't know where we're going to be in the story the next time we play together, because like I don't know. Did he defeat Ultron? Did he defeat Ultimo? I asked him today. Did you beat Ultimo? He said no, Dad. Ant-Man fought Ultimo, but we were on the roof and we had to shoot guns to get his purple bar down. And I'm like, and that's actually been one of my favorite things about buying Marvel Ultimate Alliance is he is asking tons of questions about
comic book
like
characters.
comic book characters.
And
Like
you
he
sat
had,
down and you were like, son, I can't accurately answer any of these questions without talking to you for like an hour.
that's right.
Because they all have 5 origins and 3 different directions that they go in.
But he was like, Dad, how does Venom make ink go on the floor and then chomp up out of the ground? And I'm like, well, buddy, do you remember the episode of Octonauts where they talked about symbiosis? And he was like, what? I'm like, the episode with the crab and the sea anemone. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, I've got a story for you.
Do you like that? You might really like this.
That's right. So that's been fun. And it's, it's been fun to be able to do that. But yeah, tabletop gaming has been nil. And I am on the fence about signing up for the online league, because I think I'm at the point where I might just need to do something to get some sort of, even if it's
flowing.
Yeah, even if it's online, get
Yeah.
some kind of tabletop gaming in, particularly for Underworlds, because I think it is. Actually, I was thinking about this the other day, and I think one of my favorite things about Underworlds, beyond the short time span, is I feel like it's a game that, like, within the people that I play with, like, everybody can win. Right? Like, there's not this, oh, I bought the wrong army, I'm never gonna win when we play together. Like, I own an outdated army, my codex is out of date or poorly written or whatever, or my battle tome, for Age of Sigmar doesn't work. Like, it just, like, the army doesn't click, or the models that I think are cool don't work. Like, that's not the experience in Underworlds. Because I own every army, right? I own all the war bands. So if there's one that doesn't click, I can pick something else. But there's a positive play experience, I think, for everybody that plays at some point while we play. So with that in mind, I think I'm leaning towards signing up to play in the online stuff just to get some more tabletop stuff going.
Nice. And then the deck talks start.
That's right. It's Jason's favorite part.
It is. It is my favorite part. So that and rules interpretation. Those two things are dive into those rules. Trace, anything different there? Like any large decisions on how you navigated like playing, or is it? I know the WoW, you talked about that. Like anything to add?
Not really. No, I think between Jared and Danny, like, I think we covered everything that probably I feel about it.
Yeah. So then let me hit you with this. During COVID, right, or the last 6 months since we recorded, what has been your favorite gaming moment?
Probably, just getting together with you guys probably is my favorite gaming moment. Just the back porch, the back patio night was a lot of fun when Dire Chasm came out, because that was just like a big event for all of us, and having the ability to do it and just getting together to talk shop and stuff like that was a lot of fun. Yeah, you guys know me too. Like, I have hobby ADD, and so I always look for new projects to do. And there's been a couple times where there's almost been mistakes that have been made. Where I've listened to a book or whatever and gotten inspired and almost started a new force of some kind, but luckily those breaks have been pushed enough to do that. I did buy some more Crisis Protocol minis. I've got most of the Spider-Man, the Crime Syndicate stuff, so I've got Kingpin and I think I bought Taskmaster and some other stuff like that too, but I'm looking forward to playing that more. So Danny, if you would like to play Crisis Protocol at some point, I am more than happy to accommodate you.
If the day ends in Y, my man.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of that game.
Yep. I got a shiny new Magneto painted up, so I'm looking forward to putting him on the table.
You can't match Star-Lord's smoke, so.
No.
Nothing does.
Or no, the metal constructs are painted, so there's no way that we can compare.
Or Rocket's teeth. Either one of those, were just painted beyond belief.
That was maybe the most embarrassing gaming moment of my life. I could not believe. I looked at it and I showed Sarah. I was like, "Hey, I just posted this. Do you notice anything wrong with it?" And she looked at it and she was like, "Oh, his mouth." I was like, "Yeah, didn't notice that until just now." Gaping
okay.
Black hole that was Rocket's mouth.
It's all right. I've done it before too.
It was getting there.
Truly.
Yeah.
But no, I mean the favorite gaming moment was definitely just the brief moments that we've been able to see each other has really been my favorite points of all this.
It wasn't that one time when we were in the middle of the woods and you're about to lose to Nurgle and Warhammer Underworlds, and we got a phone call that water was coming out of the ceiling. That wasn't your favorite part of the entire year.
You know, the Jason and Trace escape getaway weekend was a lot of fun.
Yeah, oh man, people don't even know about that farce of the story.
They don't.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the highlights of the year. I don't know that I would say that that's favorite, but highlights, yes. So
to bring everybody up to speed, because Nova didn't happen, and we did mention it on a previous episode, we scheduled a getaway for the group at a cabin in the mountains of North Carolina. It was supposed to it was the same weekend of Nova, and then because life got in the way, someone farted on a pillow and got pink eye.
No, that is not the order of events. No. The farting on the pillow came after. No, I had a corneal abrasion that started pink eye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because my eye was no longer smooth; it was coarse, and it hurt.
So one person couldn't go because pink eye, and then another one had family obligations creep up. So Trace and I, hobby Brokeback Mountained it for 3 days in a cabin. So
yeah, there was lots of 40K played then, which was a lot of fun. But I'm glad I suggested for us to pack up the night before we were supposed to leave, because as we sat down to play a game of Underworlds it's the first time I'd put a warband on the table in months and months and months. Start rolling dice. I'm doing reasonably well with the warband that I brought, and then my wife calls and says, "Hey Trace, why is there water coming through the ceiling?" And I said, "Shit." And we're FaceTiming, and we have my wife go upstairs to the attic and turn off the water main to the hot water heater because our hot water heater had ruptured. And why North Carolina and all these builders just in general put the hot water heater in the highest spot of the house, attic. I have no clue. Put it in the garage. Anyway, so tried to navigate that on the way home, and we packed up everything as quick as possible and got in the car, And I got home. It was like what, 2:00 in the morning. We got home, something like that.
It was definitely late, and it was a great ride home.
Yep.
Very fast.
Yep. It was quite speedy. Was calling Roto-Rooter on the way home and seeing if they can come out and see if there's anything that they can do in the short term, and so that was fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a highlight. I don't know that particular moment was my favorite moment though. Yeah.
Jared, what about you? Any particular favorite, like, dice rolls, games, events?
So I think
versus him. Jared let me win a game versus him.
There you go. That's a favorite moment.
Yeah, I'm sure that was his favorite.
No, it was my favorite because I haven't beat Jared but like maybe 2 times ever in Underworlds for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think the last time we got together to play Underworlds, Jason, I think you and I traded telegraphed crits. Like crits to win a game.
Yeah, we did.
And I mean that's always just like, that's the memorable moment, right? Like, and that's always fun for me when not when I call it, but like when you call it. You say you're gonna roll a crit right here. You're gonna do it. Like this game is in the bag if you don't roll the crit. Like, and it's a 1 in 6 chance, but you're gonna do it. You're gonna roll a crit, and then I roll, and it's a crit, and it's on 1 dice. But then I think literally the next time we played, it was like I think I said the same thing. I'm like, you're gonna crit this out. Like, I need you to not to. Like, that's it. That's all I need you to do is roll not a crit.
Bam.
But then crit.
Stuck it.
But I think because we brought this up before in the show is like celebrating, those big moments for your opponent, and I think I don't know if it's just because we haven't played together a ton, but I really enjoyed doing that for each other when we played last. Was being able to just like go nuts when you roll a crit, and have you go nuts for me when I roll a crit, instead of it being like this stressful.
No, I flipped the table, threw the models at you, and kicked you out of the house.
That's true. Well, I was already out of the house. You just kicked me out of the garage.
Yeah. Get out of the garage! And I closed the garage door on top of you as you walk out.
Good.
No, I will say that those moments came a lot easier the last time, for sure. For all of us, I think. Like, just the enjoyment of playing superseded any of the diehard competitiveness.
Yeah.
Danny, your favorite thing was getting the 10 out of a 10 on some raid in some game? Is that your favorite?
that was my favorite World of Warcraft moment. Thank you. Yes. I appreciate you acknowledging it. I had to change classes and specs, and I did my whole thing, and I really helped my team, but it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Oh, no.
What class did they make you reroll?
They actually didn't make me change class, but they made me change to marksman. Didn't make me, asked me to, and it was just actually really nice because it was like, I'm that good that I can do that. So.
And my DPS increased 1,200.
It did not.
DPS.
My DPS went down. It was just a matter of it was a technical thing. It wasn't CCs I had. It was just getting those ranged ads on phase 2 of Denathrius. So.
Oh yeah.
So I was BM, and so that's all.
Oh, your bet. That's all your bet.
Oh wait, what are we talking about?
Jason likes to pretend like he didn't used to play World of Warcraft. It's fine. No, but in actual, like, in our terms of what we talk about on this podcast in tabletop and board, I'll say board gaming because I don't shut up about board gaming. My favorite moment actually came when there's like a random, I think like Friday, I made soup and baked bread, and we had a ton of it left over. And so Sarah was like, hey, why don't you call our friends that live down the road, and that's kind of in our bubble, and see if they want to come over, and we'll pawn the rest of the soup and bread off on them because the two of us are never going to eat it all, and maybe we'll play a board game or something. And we played Infinity Gauntlet, which again I said is this game based off of Love Letter, if you're familiar with that. Either way, highly recommend it. And it was really great because we played the game and I explained it, and there was this kind of look on their face, kind of like, I don't know what's happening. And I was like, just trust me, it's really simple. It'll make sense as we go. And the first game ended, and you could see the switches had flipped in both their heads. And there was this kind of moment of like, oh, I get it. I get it. And the way Infinity Gauntlet works is like one person plays as Thanos, and then everybody else, how many ever players play as the Avengers. And so there was a moment where like you could see it click, and my buddy was like, I want to play again. And his wife was like, yes, let's do it. And then the second game ended, and he was like, I want to play as Thanos now. And it like you could see the gears start to turn, and there was this moment of like, no, I understand how this works, and I want to try this. I want to try that. And it was just this really pure gaming moment of just like, there was no competition, there was no bullshit. It was just like the game caught him, and it was like, let's keep going, because he was like, I think like every game ended, and he was like, I think I can do better. I think I can do better. And eventually he ended up winning the last game. And then the kind of coda to this whole thing is like, we found out weeks later that they had just like a terrible day with COVID stuff and everything like that in their family. We had no idea. It was just, they're like, hey, let's just call and see if they want to come over. And like, they got to escape for that night and just pretend that they were superheroes and play the game. And it was just one of those things where, like, it just worked. Life just worked for 6 hours. And that's definitely my favorite gaming moment of the year, because it was everything I love about it. There was no drama. The games facilitated
Awesome.
the community, and it was just great. It was awesome.
That's really cool. Like,
That is cool
to hear that during this COVID times. So for me, my favorite gaming moment, right? Like, does anyone want to take a guess? Like, Underworld's related favorite gaming moment? I mean, it's just the greatest game ever. Believe it or not, was not Underworld's related this year. So my favorite gaming moment, and we really haven't had enough time to talk about it, and we won't get into detail here tonight, but is I found my love for 40K again. And it really, really came from, the weekend away with Trace, and the reason that it reset 40K for me is because I stopped paying attention to the rules. Like, when we played that weekend, and even the few games after with Jared, although Jared definitely did not enjoy those games because it was one-sided.
Because Space Marines.
Because Space Marines, yeah. I don't know all the rules, and I started to play for the narrative of the game again, and the Crusade, just like designing your Crusade army and getting the stuff and having people level up and all this like narrative style of play mechanics, and not knowing what the rules are. And and we had enough time during that trip where you could spend all day to play 2 games or 3 games. It reminded me why I loved 40K. It reminded me why I got into tabletop gaming. So really, for our listeners, if you haven't given 40K a try, like, the new Crusade system is awesome. If you do not game it now, Trace and I and Jared, like, we found ways that you could totally game the Crusade system and just break it for your opponent. But if you play the in the spirit of what that narrative game is, they've really captured the universe. And I can't wait to play again, but under the guidelines that I'm not rushed. Like, it really may not be for many months where I get to play 40K again, but I look forward to it, because I won't go over all the rules, and I'll make mistakes, and the game will take forever. But darn it, it feels like when I started playing 40K to begin with. So I guess by what I'm trying to say is COVID allowed me to unplug from that game enough to find my love for the game again. So
that's great. Like, and I think I haven't played 40K in forever. And I don't have a particular urge to, but I found the Crusade building very intriguing, and I enjoyed doing it and coming up with a name for my Crusade and the characters and all that stuff. And I can absolutely see where I would love playing that style. And I think it's really good because I think Games Workshop, since probably like 7th edition, has been fishing for a way of playing that was like, just play the game. You know, like they had I forget what it was called, but like the Unbound rules. Yeah. Where like you could just bring whatever, right? And then they switched to power level, and they've been fishing for this kind of thing because the game has taken on its own life in a lot of ways. And I think there's a lot of kind of culture around it in the sense of like what you expect from a game of 40K and how you expect the rules to be kind of litigated and things like that. And I think Games Workshop has really fished for like just put the damn miniatures on the table and go pew pew. And if you're saying that they've found that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'll echo Jason. Like the Crusade rules, and Danny, it's definitely what it is. Like if you are the person who loves to name all your dudes and try and find a way to make them, whether that's the tactical correct decision or not, force them into a situation where they can take on something they shouldn't have taken on or fight the enemy warlord, like that's totally what this is for. Like because you can get rewarded for that. So like you can select a what are they called? Not stratagem.
The warlord trait.
No.
It's like goals, like it, right?
Yeah, I forgot the name of it.
But yeah.
Like a specific mission for your warlord, and you don't share that with Jason, but it would be it's an agenda. That's so right, your agenda could be your warlord kills the enemy warlord, and that is like your only goal for the game. If you achieve that goal, you get experience points for it, and you can make your guy like you can give him a piece of equipment, or you can, depending on what it is. But it's very rewarding. It's like a level up system for the game, and it's very fun. And I think probably my favorite moment of all of that with Jason was us sitting at the same table with all these books everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
And like naming people and writing this stuff down and creating our crusade lists together was probably my favorite part of all that. And like rolling random name generators for our characters, and then Jason being like,
"Nope."
No, he embraced it, but there was a couple times that he tried to find a name, and it was just, it was just like he couldn't find appropriate names for dreadnoughts. It's like they're interned heroes. Just name them a hero's name.
Yep.
So it was.
Yeah, I get very specific when I go all in, Danny. Like I'm not creative enough to think of a name. But like I'm like to the 10th degree, I gotta find the name of this character on the 7th planet, but I will say like there's still like because we played when we got back to that, like Jared played a number of games because he heard us talking about it, and when you don't have a codex that's kind of set up for the rules, they definitely doesn't translate over as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's kind of an issue. I think the Games Workshop promised us, right in 8th, it was like we're gonna release all these codexes, and they did, and then they came out with 9th. And it's like obviously that's the way it's always functioned, right? Dark Eldar players will tell you way back in the day they went like 2 editions before getting a codex. So like there's no good answer, but it definitely, you can be on the inside of that trough instead of on the peak of the wave, and it can suck.
Yep.
Yeah, the Grey Knights did not translate very well. Their heroic deeds do not translate to the tabletop all that well.
No.
The Yanari were even better against Space Marines.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, moving on. The last point that I'd like to get across here today in this episode is what are we excited about in the near future? So, Trace, what are you looking forward to the next week, 10 months, 2 years?
It's like I'm in an interview. My goal. So I'll just say that I have particular goals for each game, really. My goal for this year as a whole is to try and get all of my Underworld's warbands painted.
I know a
Yeah, painted by me.
Okay.
So that's like an overarching goal. I'm not beholden to that. If I can get to it, great, but I'm not going to stress about it. And then getting a Nurgle Crusade Force painted up is another main goal for me. Things I'm looking forward to. And then just painting as many Marvel Crisis Protocols minis as I can in between. I think because they're just great like palette cleansers because they're just a completely different style.
Yeah.
And painting them in comic style is a really fun brain exercise for me. Things I'm looking forward to are just hopefully sooner rather than later playing more games. I'd like for that to be the case. Just seeing more people more often, and something I am looking forward to is the new Bellacore model that's coming out.
Oh my
No.
gosh, that thing looks awesome.
I just noticed today that like even the ornaments draped from his wings are different.
different.
From the 40K and
They are
the AOS. That's
Yep.
pretty cool.
It's super cool. So of course that sparks like the hobby ADD, and like you're just like, do I build a legion around Bellacore and stuff like that? So that's just the way my brain works. But I'll definitely insert him into my Slaves to Darkness army that I've already got a paint scheme kind of ironed out for. So,
Fantastic.
but yeah, so those are some goals, and then I'm looking forward to the campaign book that's coming out too, the Rust and Iron or Rust and whatever book that's coming out for Crusade.
Yeah, it's
Looking
like
forward to that.
The Book of Rust.
Book of Rust, yep. And it was Rusty something. Rusty Crusty.
Rusty book.
I've got a joke and I'm not going to say it. It's the instrument I played in high school, funnily enough. I've got one. I literally have one right over here.
We're good. We're good. All right, move on.
I'll play it.
Jared, what are you looking forward to in the near future? What are you most excited about?
Gaming in person the next time that happens. No, so
Okay.
barring anything unforeseen, I have landed pre-approved clearance for our fall trip for this year.
Good.
So Mountains of North Carolina. It was tentative clearance last year that ended up getting removed just because life was crazy. But it is confirmed clearance for this year. Looking forward to that and figuring out kind of what we're going to do there. I invested in the Monster Fight Club Metropolis Kickstarter, which is essentially city terrain. So I will have a nice amount of pre-painted Marvel Crisis Protocol terrain coming to me at some point in the near future.
Cool.
For obvious reasons, the production got delayed. I was supposed to have it by Christmas, but as you can imagine, with everything else getting slowed down because of COVID, their production also got slowed down. But we got an update in February of image of some of the buildings in production. So it is happening. So hopefully I'll get that, and that'll be some motivation.
Metropolis set. Is that what you got? Metropolis.
Yeah. Well, that's the line. I don't remember which set I got out of the Kickstarter, but the Metropolis line is the one that it came with. But hopefully that'll motivate me to paint some Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures. And I don't know, with the way my son is talking about Ultimate Alliance, it might be an opportunity to introduce another miniatures game to him. I'd be like, you know how you like to be Spider-Man in
What if I
Marvel
told
Ultimate Alliance?
Nice.
So, but 75% of us have gotten at least one vaccination shot. Well, you're right. So at least one.
So
Trace has
no,
gotten
actually 50% of the people on this call are done with their vaccination shots.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, because Danny was a one shot.
Yep.
One and done.
Yep.
One
So-
opportunity. Did he
so-
capture it?
Yeah.
Mom spaghetti.
So good. Mom spaghetti. So hopefully I can figure out getting mine, and I think once that's done, it'll be a lot easier, a lot more comfortable to gather together and play some games. So
CD says we can do it.
Yep.
Get your shots. Shots. All right, Danny, redeem your brethren. Pick the thing that I thought everyone was going to say. But what are you most excited about in the near future, other than us getting together and playing?
There's a lot of pressure here. When it comes to us getting together to game, like, you know me, I'm kind of a needy little boy, and I just can't wait to have a game day where it's like the games don't matter.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
the games are completely secondary, and like obviously that's the heart and truth of whenever we get together. But I think sometimes that gets lost, and I think that first time that we all chill out and it's like just Jason's giving me all the directions of nods, sideways, north, south, northeast, northwest. But like I think sometimes that can get lost, and I think it's just going to be really awesome to just kind of crack open a beer and play something stupid, whether it's a game of Crisis Protocol or it's a game of Men at Work or a game of Parcheesi. Like, it's just going to be great. I am still hopeful that there will be a Nova this year, which I know like we kind of have our own thing going on, and like I assume that's flexible and contingent on a lot of things. But it'd be pretty incredible to see that after the crazy year, to kind of go back and have that happen. And you know, maybe I'm being foolish, but I'm still kind of hopeful on that. And then on a stupid level, I'm really excited for Scarlet Witch to have a miniature in Crisis Protocol, because we all watched the TV show and we're all amped about it now. So
Yeah.
I will absolutely be buying that and painting it and being like, and it's gonna be great. So those are kind of the things that I am looking forward to, and I'm guessing that none of those three things are what you were hoping for.
No, they were all good. Like, all good. But I can't believe not one of you talked about Warhammer Quest Cursed City.
Oh gosh.
I know I'm the stick in the mud on this one. I'm not that psyched about it. I'm not.
Oh,
We
go
never
figure.
Totally
finished
forgot
Blackstone.
about that.
Like,
So-
you gotta finish the first book before you start the second book, guys.
It's true. We
I mean,
didn't finish the Blackstone Fortress.
Hey, I got it all. So as soon as we can meet, you know, at a regular basis, like, I'm all for going through the Blackstone. But Trace and Jared are like
still won't be
way into the Cursed City. Like, I just couldn't believe that wasn't their thing.
There's just too much stuff to remember.
That's right.
It does. The models look incredible. For
Yeah,
They're so
that's-
good.
Yeah, they're super cool.
I know that they're getting a lot of flack on the internet, but like I
The
love the
zombies.
zombies with the gravestones on their
Yeah,
backs.
they're super sweet. They're
That's
super
cool as
cool.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's
it's
like,
silly,
why do they
like,
all have gravestones? That's so dumb.
Because they crawled out of the grave.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
But-
I don't. There's not a hero that I find inspiring yet. Like, they're all great models, but there's not a single one of them that I look at and say,
With the-
that's the guy I want to play.
The elf.
Yeah, you know me and the pointy ears. It's just right up my alley.
Of the ones that they've shown, I'm surprised you're not drawn to like the female fighter.
Yeah, she's cool. It's her and the vampire hunter Van Helsing guy with the like shotgun with the stakes is kind of cool. But like, none of them have like. There's something really weird, in a good way, of the model design on that game. Like, there's something like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's definitely a Games Workshop miniature or a Citadel miniature. But like, there's also some weird shit, like that guy with the beard that like goes down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like there's something there's a different avenue going there, which is exciting, but it's also kind of weird.
That's the only hero. I will play any hero but that guy. So,
The beard guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can we play our Blackstone heroes?
Yeah, right. I think that the crew would love it.
Yeah.
Be in there.
Grubby person. So, all right. So to finish this out, the thing that I'm most excited about in the coming weeks, other than the high potential that we can get returned to our small group playing, is the vampire warband that's coming out for Underworlds.
That is a beautiful warband.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so sweet.
Models just look amazing, and really it's getting back to playing Dire Chasm like in our local meta. Like I know that is still a little further off, because like there is something to be had to go and get outside the group's opinions on cards and having that conversation and work through decks and just play like a game that I've missed locally for over a year. So the prospect that those days may be coming back has me super, super amped. Plus I have a lot of stuff to give away. Like I have like 2 warbands, a whole core set. Like we were gearing up to do a lot of local events. So anything that can get us back to that, I am really, really looking forward to. And then I am legitimately cannot wait for the Nova in the mountains. If Nova didn't happen, for all of us to get together and just spending a couple days, whether it's gaming, grilling, fishing,
Drinking.
whatever it may be. Like those weekends away are so refreshing to me, and I'm well overdue for another one. So that's my kind of looking forward to. So with that, I mean, that's our questions for this week, this long overdue 6-month hiatus for the podcast. But as we close out the show, I do want to to remind everyone that we are very active on Discord. So please look us up on Facebook, get that link to our Discord. Some of us are active in there 4 or 5 days a week. The other one pops in and makes special appearances.
It's 4 or 5 days a year.
But we do have a really, I won't say super active community, but it is a very active community with painting and just a plethora of games, whether it's, Marvel Crisis Protocol, Dungeons and Dragons, 40K, there's someone posting something at least once a week from a painting standpoint or a question about playing. So please come hang out with us there. And then the other thing that I'll say is we called this episode the Cryosleep, because we probably will be going dark for an extended period of time, at least as a group. You may see episodes produced by 1 or 2 of us, going forward. But I think, what we kind of drove home here today was that the 4 of us not being able to get together on a regular basis has really hindered the activity in the hobby for us. So we're just looking for that motivation to get together and record, because even tonight when we recorded this, we spent 45 minutes talking about, what we've done, what's going on in our lives, dogs, children, crises of HVAC units, stuff like that, right? So, a lot of our time that we do get to spend together is just catching up on our friendships, and hobby has always been second to us. It's what brought us together, but it's other things that keep us together. So when we don't post for a while, or you don't see an episode from us, please know we're on Discord. Come hang out with us. But it's time to go on that Cryosleep so the chest buster doesn't come out of me and destroy you all. So, gentlemen, anything to add to that?
No, sir.
No?
Hey, you said it all. What's there left to say?
So for the Battle Mallet podcast, it's 3 dads and a tabletop board gamer.
Still not a dad.
I'm Jason Tableman Murray signing off.
Trace Hyde, painter, father, also board gamer. Signing off.
This is Jared Johnson, father now of 3.
Ooh.
Right?
He did.
Somewhere in between those two is my reaction. Signing off.
This is Danny Clemens.
Yes.
Get the hell out of here, you trombone playing wannabe.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
I think Sarah's like clipping off the end of it when I'm
At night.
sleeping.
Yeah.